DJing is a gift for sure, in terms of the being gifted the opportunity, that life. I'm never going to slag it off or anything like that, even though there are many aspects of that world that kind of sicken me. But it's important for me to say that whilst it's what a lot of people know me for, and it's what has allowed me to live this life for so long, I couldn't survive artistically or on a personal level if it was that was the only thing. I've always just wanted to be, from a young age, involved in music in some way, and the dream was to be an artist who can make records that could sit alongside other artists' albums on a record shelf, So short answer is I love the world of DJing, but it's only a part of it. And, in my eyes as well, like, my favorite DJs are people who have an artistic strand to what they do as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've never been a DJ, but I've played in bands. And the difference that I see is that when you're a DJ, you can really feel the energy of the room. If you're playing an instrument, maybe, you're probably too occupied with doing what you're doing than to really kind of read the room as much as probably you're able to as a DJ. And obviously those old stories of like dub plates and people going in and being, and like, I just read the Chris Blackwell from Ireland, his book, and becoming a DJ in Jamaica, and basically kind of having some real competition with other DJs to get that record and to see that room and to see the way the room moves. Because once you've got over 10, 15 people in a room, it's really interesting to see the way that people move.
There are two things there. The one about the competition, I think that healthy competition is really crucial and important. And I think social media is maybe causing that to be lost a little bit, because it's more about trends. And now what I've noticed happen quite a lot is a record will get big. Maybe someone will dig up a record from a few years ago. It will get big. A video will go viral, and then you hear everyone playing that. And I kind of want the opposite of that. I've always said that my ideal DJ night, club night, is to go there and not recognize a single record, but to have my mind blown by all of them. So when I'm on the other side of it, that's what I want to at least try and achieve. You can throw in the odd, recognizable moment. But yeah, so there's that. But also I think it's so beautiful, the communal aspect of DJing. That ethos of acid house has always just drawn me in so much, that the crowd, that every person in there is as vital as the DJ, because otherwise you've just got a nerd standing behind some decks playing some records. The second you have everyone in there, then you have something that's a party that could literally be life-changing to those in it. And the DJ has to feed off the energy in the same way that the crowd is feeding off the DJ. It's unique and it's special. And again, it's why I'm sounding already like I'm dogging on social media. I probably will do a bit of that during this, but it's cool to watch stuff online and to get excited by videos online. Sure, I fully get that, but to be in the room is something that's going on there. Nothing beats it. Nothing can even come close to it,
I like the way it strips away any kind of like prejudice or tribalism that you might have, because no matter what you grew up listening to, and I still have it now, I have to kind of fight against myself and be like, stop my own sort of mini prejudices of like, oh no, that's rubbish, not going to like that.
Same, me too.
Just so how do you get past, how do you get through that?
A good question. I mean,
you just got to listen to it.
You just have to get over yourself. Just get over yourself and just get on with it. It's, again, this is another thing that does wind me up about particularly the techno scene at the moment for some reason, is the real like snobbishness amongst it. You go to somewhere like Berlin, which is, often, I love Berlin. I love playing in Berlin, but that scene purports to be like the most, we are inclusive and free, and it's like, then you see people say, yeah, but you can't come in, you're not wearing black or whatever. It's like, hang on, isn't that the opposite of what you're trying to push here? Or DJing, and it's like, the freedom on the you see people writing Instagram posts like, the freedom on the dance floor was felt amongst everyone. I've been there and played records that weren't straight 4/4 records, and everyone just stops dancing. It's like, hang on, doesn't it feel that free? You're either free or you're not here. Anyway,
and it's always
getting on a rant already.
No, it's good. It's always going to be like a retrospective. Oh, that time was great, but there probably were people not being open to it at the time.
Yeah,
that's probably happened since the dawn of time, right?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure.
I feel like your biggest job has been to try and there's so much out there of what you can do. There's so many artists you can collaborate with, like endless.
Yeah.
So how do you decide who to get in a room with? How do you pick, or where does your mind go to because you can't listen to everything in the world.
No, of course.
So you can just kind of be as open as you can be. But then beyond that, how do you decide whether to give someone a call or not?
Yeah, great question. It's about, I've always felt that the idea of connection all the best connections come pretty naturally, as with everything in life. And, you know, there's certainly been people, but particularly on this new record, which we'll get to in a minute, where people who have been on like my sort of dream wish list for years, Walter Schreifels or Alison Mosshart, you know.
Legends.
But then the majority of the collaborations on this new record and throughout my career have been people I've met on the road or new bands I've come across.
That Bedroom's
a great example, and I really love their first record and loved everything they've done. But I was so into that first record, and we just got chatting and I did a remix for them. And
I bet they loved that.
Oh, it was great. It was great. And then I asked them to support me at my last London show a couple of years ago, and and then, you know, from there you realize you have a connection with them, and it goes from there. So you could, I think there has to be some kind of link. Maybe it's just me. I've never been someone to just make a wish list and make cold calls, really.
Suppose you're meeting these people at festivals, at live stuff, in person.
Yeah.
That's how you get the vibe from someone, isn't it?
Exactly, and you can tell pretty quickly with someone too. Yeah.
I like. Who was the last person that you met, and you were like, "Yes, we're on a wavelength."
I've been lucky. I feel that nearly everyone who I've wanted to be great has been great. Okay, but let's use Alison Mosshart as an example, right? The Kills were a band who really signified an important transitional time in my life, where I first started going out to nightclubs and going out into the night, as it were. And
is that like the crossover of kind of indie and club night?
Yeah, and like Trash was a big thing up in London, and this club night I found in Bournemouth, where I grew up, was playing, you know, electronic stuff, but also stuff like The Kills or Interpol at the time. But that was before I was DJing, way before I was DJing.
Okay.
Just going out into the night, and The Kills really felt like one of those bands that like were fusing so many things that I loved at the time, like a Velvet Underground tint or even like a Stooges hint, but with drum machines, and just so cool. And Alison's voice was always just so visceral. Yeah. So all these years later, I meet her for the first time, and she's as cool as you want her to be still. And it's an honor to have her on the record.
Do you still find that those records that meant something to you at like 16, 17, 18, do they still like have that sort of golden nugget gem feeling?
I think it's almost impossible to erase that feeling. I feel it's probably nearing something that's like on a biological level. Yeah. The way it probably changes your cells when you fall in love with something at that age. Yeah.
I mean, start today, Gorilla Biscuits.
Right.
Walter Schreifels.
Absolutely.
That was one for me.
Yeah. Quicksand for me, and then Rival Schools as well. Again, like what a dude.
Yeah. This record's got it's got quite a lot of guitars on.
Yeah.
Where's your mind been at like that over the years? Have you produced stuff with guitars that you haven't sort of not released all of it? Because it feels like it can be like a rock record.
Yeah, sure.
This album for some people.
Sure. It's interesting that, again, it's a question I've been asking myself, as to why haven't I done this earlier? When I first started making music in my bedroom as a teenager, it was guitars. It's what I grew up on. And then life took me down a different path that was more techno, electronica leaning. DJing came in. I always feel that the spirit of a lot of guitar music I've loved over the years has been within the music I've made, the sort of the distorted beauty of shoegaze, for instance, or those screaming pads that have like melodies hidden underneath them,
and like the hooks,
yeah, sure. So I think it's always been there, but yeah, you're right, this is as much a rock record as anything else. So I don't have a great answer for you there. I don't know what the turning point was, other than I could probably say that this is the first record that was made since lockdown, that was made entirely outside of lockdown. And I think there's a lot of freedom I hear a lot of freedom on this record. And I certainly felt it as I was making it.
Yeah.
And part of that was, as a touring artist, touring DJ, touring musician in general, I think it becomes quite easy to fall into the trap that you build your entire identity, that becomes your identity. And so when that world stopped turning during lockdown, that obviously got ripped away from all of us. But then once that dust had settled, I feel that I was able to realize that, hang on, I'm still here. I'm still a person. Mm-hmm. I'm also still an artist. I'm able to make music. And so in some ways, the dance floor entirely was removed from my mind for the first time in years and years. And I think that's a component of this record.
It's interesting how you can effectively box yourself in.
Yeah.
Whereas people on the outside, I mean, I've seen you as a DJ kind of build or basically different genres over the years. I would have thought that you're like the most free guy who's like, I can do what I want, which is the best situation.
Yeah, sure.
It's interesting how you put those parameters on yourself.
Yeah, they almost become unconscious at times as well. I mean, I feel like I've been through this cycle a few times in my career. The biggest one that still remains in my mind, and I feel in some ways left some kind of scars, was the first record came out, Drone Logic, in 2013. It blew up way bigger than I ever expected anything to. And then it threw me out onto the road as a touring DJ. And I sort of became, that was my life. That was my job. I became a techno DJ.
You're getting paid for it.
Getting paid for it, traveling the world with it. And then I couldn't work out what to do next musically, because I thought, well, I should probably be a techno artist now, right? Because that's what I'm getting paid for. That's what I am. Yeah. And
you were surprised by that. That took you off.
It completely hit me sideways, completely. And I didn't make the next record for 5 years. I was completely, almost just like, I was terrified, really. Looking back now, it was all fear-based, you know.
What were you scared of, do you reckon?
I don't know. It's a good question again, but making the wrong move. I think as well, because it threw me quite high, that first record. And I was probably just scared of making the wrong move and losing it. Which, you know, looking back, it wasn't going to happen, or was unlikely to happen. And also at that time, because I was just because I became part of, a part of that techno circuit, I felt that I, in some ways, maybe was trying to shun the things that I grew up on a little, because I felt, maybe I'm not going to be fully accepted by this world or this scene because I come from somewhere else. Then, of course, as the years progress, and I actually take a breath, I was able to say, well, that's what makes me me, and I should be proud of these differences.
For sure.
And then I look at all my heroes in that regard, Errol Alkan or Andrew Weatherall or Optimo, or so many people in that world, and they all come from a more left field place, and that's what makes them them. You know?
Music's music. Yeah, it's so tribal. When we grew up, you're for our generation or my generation, it's like you're a goth or you're a chav or a punk or whatever.
Sure.
But I mean, if you've got to be an adult and say this is just music made by people.
Just music made by people. Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny how much prejudice and kind of group gathering there is in music, you know.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
It is bollocks, yeah. It is. Yeah, and the weight artists can put on themselves. I mean, this is coming from someone who's been around the block a few times now, and I can safely say now that the only goal is to just be yourself, because no one else is you, and that's the only thing you can do, whatever comes out of it.
Yeah.
And you know, look, that is far easier said than done. But I do think that in a lot of ways, as I mentioned earlier, lockdown really helped with all of that stuff for me, because I released 2 solo albums during lockdown, which I felt were just very much me. They were a bit clubby, they were electronic, but they had lots of other influences in there too. I released a collaboration with Alessandro Cortini from 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
That was made beforehand, but that came out during that period.
And which is very cool.
Oh, it was just like something of a dream like feeling. And in lots of ways that era massively helped me. And ever since, I felt entirely free. I really have done, you know.
When was the first time, so you grew up in Bournemouth, I imagine like a fairly like normal, if we can say, like upbringing.
Yeah.
To go from education where it starts and your parents and your mates and seeing what everyone else is doing and making that jump from living a sort of quote unquote normal life to be an artist full time, to being a DJ. How did you find that transition?
It's a vortex. Look, it's a vortex is what I'm going to say about it. And I hit every cliched hurdle along that way. Because, like you said, pretty normal life, pretty like sort of straight-laced, well-behaved teenager, I would say, then thrown into this world and life that is the opposite of all of that, extremely fast-paced, all the pitfalls that come with it. I fell into every pit along that way. In lots of ways, I feel like a lot of my rebellion came in my early 20s, which looking back is quite weird. But so look, it was great, and like I never fully lost the plot, but I came close quite a few times. I
suppose being a DJ, playing music, touring, being away from home, there's probably some situations where probably a lot of situations where you're rewarded for sort of doing the thing that you would be reprimanded for at home. There's lots of examples of that. I think it's the only job I can think of where your employer is actively trying to get you drunk and the rest of it. Yeah. Because you're sort of seen as the centerpiece of a party, and that's not real life. And again, I'm in no way unique here. I've heard this story a million times from rock stars, DJs, etc., where your domestic normal life, just the disparity between that and your job becomes a gulf. And it's such a rude awakening every time you try and go back, and then you try and probably put that off more. But obviously the real life is the important bit. But then again, there's also like a lot of responsibility you feel for people having a good time. Everyone works hard during the week, probably in a job that they don't love quite often. And then it's your job to show them a good time at the weekend or whenever. And it does... Again, all of that stuff, in answer to your earlier question, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And, I wasn't that young. Do you know what I mean? I was like, when I really took off, I was 27, 28. I wasn't like a teenager or anything. But still, it really, really knocked me in lots of ways, good and bad. Yeah, this is not a sob story. No, I mean, this is real life.
It's just what happened. And then you also, it creates an odd sense of maybe not entitlement, but you start to think that if you're on a good crest of a wave, you start to think, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing here. I'm good at this, But the reality is, again, that trends come and go like this, and you might be riding a good wave, and then when that wave dips again, and you're not that flavor of the month, you take it incredibly personally. And that's not reality. So again, one more time for lockdown is that what I felt was that, okay, well, I can still make music during that time, and everyone stopped, and I still have a lot of value, I feel, in what I have to offer here. So I'm just going to keep on doing that.
Yeah.
And ever since, it's been great.
All the above is a bit of a quagmire for like mental health stuff. And I imagine people probably weren't talking about mental health in music when you were starting.
Yeah, I feel like it was only that conversation was just beginning. And again, coming back, I remember feeling guilty talking about it at the beginning, because I felt, what right do I have to say this?
Talk about it to friends and family.
Even to friends and family, because to an outsider, it just looks like you're having the best time, you know? And in lots of ways you are, but it's not all that, you know? I was just a good example of someone who came into it completely unprepared for all of that stuff. And then it just slowly took over time, you know, when you're at home, do some fucking exercise, or, you know, like go outside, or get some proper sleep, or go and see your friends who you love and they love you, but don't them texting you, or do you want to meet up? Because you're so busy and tired, you start to think, oh, why is this person bothering me? They're your friends, you know, go and see them. It's so important. Yeah. Take your friends with you when you tour or whatever, you know, all that stuff. Yeah. Very simple stuff.
When was the first time you came home and you were like, I can pay rent, I can move out?
Well, yeah, that was a crazy feeling, actually, to have some money ever for the first time in my life. You know, I come from a, you know, relatively modest background and all the rest of it, but to have some money where it's like, oh, I can actually go out, I can take people out for a nice dinner, or my parents out for a lovely dinner, or whatever. Nice, and that's a really nice moment. But again, that starts to get away from you too. Yeah, you can be I could be quite a dumb person with that stuff, you know.
No cars, no fancy cars.
No, I never quite lost it yet. But I am about to turn 40, so I might buy a Porsche. Not really, but you know, midlife crisis is just around the corner. Surely, I've just made a rock album, so maybe that's it.
Part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs. I started this show because that's what most musicians are doing now. People will like, maybe goes without saying, but my philosophy is like, the more music, the more art, the better. The more venues like this, the more places you can go hang out with your friends, the better. Yeah. Like really, in a kind of macro lens, that stuff is sliding away a little bit, because no one can afford to do it unless you're from a middle class or wealthy family. What's your perspective on that stuff, of where music's going? I mean, for DJs, you get a lot of really cool DJs using Fruity Loops, and like, or cracked versions, or free stuff on a crappy laptop. So that will probably never go away, will it?
No, I don't think so. And I've not seen it disappear in any way. And in fact, I think it's probably grown over the past couple of years, which is great. I'm of the mindset that anyone who wants to put something beautiful out into the world is fine by me, whatever that may be, whatever kind of genre. Someone else may find it and be inspired by it, or made to feel less alone. If I do have a problem with anything, it's people who just, all they see is the end game of fame and notoriety. And
I mean, do musicians get, I mean, obviously people do get famous, but musicians don't get famous in the way they did in the 80s.
No, it's happening a lot in the DJ world. It would seem that if you could get the right kind of viral content or whatever, then it does seem like a shortcut. It's a bit of a cheat code to getting something. But if you've got nothing backing you, then, you know, I don't personally care about it.
Do you care about views? Will you look at stuff you put up and look at views?
I think it's impossible to fully ignore it. But again, no, I don't. I do feel incredibly fortunate that I'm still here and able to do this. So for me, that's enough. And also, again, being around the block a bit, I've seen trends come and go like this, and that's nothing to do with value or worth generally. It's just probably an algorithm or a trend or something, you know, like that. So yeah, I don't believe anyone who says they don't look at that at all. Yeah. How could you not? But yeah, I try not to even think about it too much.
YouTube sometimes serves me like remix stuff.
Yeah.
And I know remixes have been around forever. And you mentioned Andrew Weatherall, and so many, I love the Heavenly remixes he did. Sure, some of my favorite records.
Yeah.
You know, I'll put that in my headphones on my way to go out, and I'll be like, yeah, you know, put me in the right mood. You know, when you hear a track, will you think about how you're going to remix it, or how you would remix it?
I really like doing it. I've always really liked doing it. And particularly recently, I've been really into it.
Even if it's just for fun, maybe it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, sometimes. I find it really enjoyable. And I also, in the past, I've really liked giving my music for other people to remix.
Yeah.
Again, I just really like worlds mixing and colliding and new ideas coming from something that neither of you would have had, but together something else has come from it.
That's a cool thing.
For me, that's a really cool thing about remixes. Yeah.
And you've got your studio.
I have.
In the shipping container.
Not too far from here, actually. Yeah.
On the river. We won't dox you.
Yeah, thanks.
It's your spot.
Yeah, it has been for a long time, over 10 years.
You love going there. You love hanging out there.
It's quiet and serene. It's not the easiest place to get to, which I also like.
Yeah.
And you have to make a bit of an effort to go there. And I never walk away from that spot feeling like I've wasted a day, even if I've not made any music.
Really?
Really, yeah. I think it's been a crucial part of, one, what I do, and also two, part of the sound of my music. I think there's can be quite a quiet element to my music, which I really love, or the sort of can be.
Yeah, I get the serenity, like shoegaze is a great example. Sure. In the noise, in the swirl of it.
Exactly.
There's real peace.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that. I've always loved that within music, and the studio definitely represents that feeling for me. Yeah.
And I mean, what does it look like? Is there a lot of gear in there? Do you get the latest stuff?
No. There's a real mixture of old equipment, of
tape stuff.
Yep, some tape stuff. But then I'm also really interested in a lot of modern technology just within the laptop that is fascinating. And again, I love the mixture of those two worlds, old and new, and trying to build something different out of that.
Yeah.
Really love those intersections, you know.
You can hear that on Tremor.
Oh, cool, yeah.
All the record was made in there, was it?
Yeah, a lot of it was made in there. Drums were recorded elsewhere. Some vocals were recorded elsewhere, but the hub of that record is my metal box.
Yeah, cool. And how do you feel about that record right now? I mean, it's about to come out. This episode will go out probably a few weeks ahead of it.
Yep.
First record on Domino, obviously legendary label, put out all types of stuff, and like a great example of how labels are still important for fans.
Yeah.
In the way that there might be completely different sonics from one record to the next.
Sure.
But there is a common thread somewhere in there.
Yeah.
A subconscious common thread. Yeah. Or something that you buy into emotionally, you know.
Sure. I feel great about the record. I'm really excited about it. I feel I'm not going to use the line of this is the record I've always wanted to make, because genuinely every record I've made at that moment has been the record I wanted to make.
Yeah. So it should.
Yeah, right. But this feels like it feels new and exciting and scary. But I'm so happy with it. I do feel that this is a load of different elements of who I am coming together. Yeah. Things from my past, things from my current life. The world of techno is in there somewhere. The world of shoegaze is in there somewhere. But it's all coming together, and
cool.
Yeah, I feel happy with it. Yeah.
What is your current life?
Quiet weeks and busy weekends, but I mean, you know, I'm that bit older now and down the studio as much as I can be. I'm loving making music more than I ever have done. You know, to go back to the earlier story where I was just debilitated by fear. I feel the complete opposite to that right now. I feel so free and happy with it all. I'm happy in my own life, and just really loving making music and being creative and listening to music more than ever. It's
the job of an artist, it seems like a real trip. I mean, obviously I think about this all the time doing this podcast and the interview series, hearing about the way that people make music. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot to think about, a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
And like make a template, but a template that's always probably shifting.
Yeah, sure, definitely. All of those things. But ultimately just being able to go with whatever's happening at that time in the studio, I've found increasingly over the years, that's such a crucial part of the process. I heard a really good Stuart Lee, the comedian, quote recently, where he said, if you know what you're going to make before you do it, then what's the point in doing it? That you're not an artist then, you're probably just creating something to a brief, which, is a valid form of living your life. But I don't know if it's necessarily, if you call that art. Whereas his point being that you go with an idea and then the idea will lead you and you can't have too much control over it. And that's cool. That's exciting.
I think that's relatable even if you don't make music.
Sure.
Because my equivalent of that is if I'm having a good conversation with a friend, family member, someone down the pub who I'll never meet again. You don't think about what you're going to say.
Sure.
I mean, you think about the idea of it, but you don't, you just kind of say whatever comes to mind. And that is everything you've ever seen, learned in your life, felt. That's when it comes out.
Yeah. You probably feel that doing these conversations as well, right? Like you could probably have a list of questions, but probably the best ones, you throw them
I don't like doing that anymore because that's actually not conducive to a good conversation.
Sure.
Then I'm just reading questions. You could be saying anything.
Sure.
Whatever comes next, in my mind, really, it's going to be the most beneficial or interesting.
Yeah, sure.
If it's in the context of where the conversation's going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Do you reckon you'll play some rock festivals?
I would love to.
I can see you playing Download.
I would love to play Download.
Have you done that before? You say you're playing
No, I've never been to Download. No, I went to one of my first big things I went to Ozfest in 99 or 2000. One of them, which is at the same place, isn't it? Or nearby. And
I think it's in Donington still, yeah.
Yeah.
Or was.
Or somewhere near there. And I mean, I'd love to. I still go to a lot of those shows. Yeah. That sort of thing. So
have you got your crew of friends that you'll go with?
Yeah, friends and family actually. So I still love that world.
I do think it's an interesting time for music because people are discovering it through TikTok and playlists and all that stuff that maybe isn't positive loads of the time. But one cool thing about that is that if you meet someone who's 17 or 18 now, probably by the way they dress, you probably don't know what music they're into, which is very different
definitely
to 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
People are into all kinds.
Definitely. I think that's great. I think that's nothing but exciting. And I've heard a few people, older folk, our age and above, who can get a bit snobbish about all of that. But, if you meet a 17-year-old kid who's just discovered Deftones on TikTok, how cool is that?
So sick.
How cool is that? And, that's also just proof of a band like them who have just been genuinely themselves the whole time, and you can't fake that, and that just bypasses every trend as well. And
I can see you remixing them.
They're one of my favorites,
and they are back. They're back in a big way.
Yeah, more so than ever, right?
Did you hear that first one off the
loved it? Yeah,
incredible. And the artwork,
it's great
with the snake.
Yeah,
exciting. Hey, thanks for being up for this.
Of course,
thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me. It's
awesome. Going back to 101 part-time jobs, I'm a big fan of like the work fuck ups, and I think if you're playing music, for you, I imagine this must be probably in the earlier days where you're working part-time jobs, working side hustles to afford your lifestyle, to afford rent, afford a 4-pack of beers with your friends, going to the pub. I feel like being a musician or being in music is conducive to not really caring about the job side of things. And I feel like what happens then is that you start fucking up and you start breaking things, causing people a lot of money, just getting sacked, getting fired. I'm putting you on the spot here now, definitely. But have you got any memories of work fuck ups?
Well, I don't know about work fuck ups because this is going to sound like a bit of a backwards answer, so bear with me. But from quite an early age, I've worked in music, like working in events. I mentioned to you earlier, like when I first moved to London, I lived above the Amersham Arms, a pub just up the road here, working for a sort of music events company. And just because I was so desperate to be in music, and I worked in record shops and stuff. So I don't know about fuck ups, but what I would say is I think that just desperately working behind the scenes in music caused me some fuck ups in my artistic life a bit, because I saw too much behind the curtain.
Okay.
And it stopped me from being an artist, and started at times in my career to make me second guess what I was doing, and all that naturalness we've been talking about here kind of went out the window, and you start to think, well, that's big right now, and so I need to go. So I don't know if that counts as a fuck up, but in my mind, it caused me to fuck up a few times in my career. Yeah.
Isn't that the thing with the music industry, and something that I've thought a lot about recently, and just kind of started to identify? I'm like, when a record goes well, or a campaign, let's say, goes well, people will always say, oh, it went well because there's ABC, because you hit those points. The likelihood of you knowing that was going to work at the time, very low.
Very low. Very low. And I would also say, I don't know if this counts as an answer to your question, but here's a positive I took from working on the other side of the curtain, is that you obviously get to interact and talk to people who pay their hard-earned money on tickets and stuff. And you know that age-old thing of like everyone who wants to be in a band needs to spend a year as like a punk roadie or whatever, like lugging gear around just so you know the ins and outs of it. I think the same is true in electronic music, particularly DJs who just want to be superstars overnight. Like just go to a nightclub and as a punter, buy a ticket, stand in the queue for an hour in the cold, go through an airport security search to get in, and then only then can you complain about this lifestyle, because what a gift all of this is. So yeah, there's good and bad to all of that. I think I've never taken any of this for granted, and more so than ever right now.
What were you doing? Paint us a picture of that house up the road in New Cross. It was pretty dilapidated. You said it was the people that ran the festival field day.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
There was no running water. Thinking about it, that's how desperate I was to be up in London within music in some way. It was a room in, at that point, an empty pub, old pub. I remember the first day getting back, and I obviously just like mice everywhere, and I cannot believe I did it. I cannot believe I did it, but I can believe that I was that desperate to be involved in music in some way, living in London, that I did it.
How did you get it? Did you email someone? You were like, can I intern?
I had I've count myself lucky that I've had several lucky meetings and breaks over the years. That was one where that company started opening up some regional pubs around the UK. Their first one out of London was in Bournemouth.
Okay, where you're from.
And so I was still at uni at the time, and someone had discovered my MySpace page and said, oh, this guy looks like he might have some good taste and he's young. And so I became the booker of that place. Again, no idea what I was doing.
Oh, face value.
Yeah.
I sometimes think, when you're on the market where there isn't a price, they'll tell you a different price depending on how they look at you.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another
exactly. and then I wanted to come to London, and that's where I lived. I mean, I lived for free, which allowed me to come up near enough squatting, in this place. But that's what began this life up here. So, it was disgusting, but
you were helping put on shows, helping run the bar.
Because then exactly, just being a lackey of all varieties. But also they would put me on first to DJ at these things. So I was playing in good places to no one, but I was still on the bill and began a climb.
Was there a particular night that was okay? Something clicked?
I don't know about a particular night, but as things progressed, I started DJing at Fabric as, again, really young, before I'd made any real music. So no one knew who I was, but they gave me this incredible opportunity to open up Room 1 for, you know, on quite big nights. And again, just seeing how a night can go from nothing to something ecstatic, and your job, talking about jobs, your job right there is to build it. You're not trying to be a superstar, the opposite really. You have a role in this night, and it's a crucial one.
Yeah.
So that period, I count myself so lucky to have seen that, you know.
There's magic, isn't it? I mean, looking around this place, and I was saying in the next room over there, I've been there, and it's like, whoa, you know, you can't, it is a different room to when nobody is in it.
Yeah.
And to go from that to a room full of people, loud music, feeling that energy, feeling that magic.
It's simple magic as well. Maybe that's why it is magic. It's simple. It is just a simple room, modest room, with a sound system, a smoke machine, a strobe.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's kind of all you need.
Yeah.
But from that, you can have a night that can literally change your life. You can meet someone who is going to completely change your world. I love it.
Wicked. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good chat.
Cheers.
Cheers for watching. This is 101 Part-Time Jobs. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and all podcast apps. We've done interviews with Aurora, Kneecap, Idols, Lauren Maybury of Churches, and loads more. So tap into 101 Part-Time Jobs on Spotify, Apple, and all podcast apps.